But you asked me about my brother. I guess he got pretty bad as a teenager. I just never knew it. Didn't want to know. I'd come home from school and go straight upstairs to my room in the attic. Well, our room. I shared it with my sister Debbie. I'd read or listen to music or just stare at the ceiling. If I knew no one was around, I'd still play with my horses. I kept them lined up on a shelf next to my bed. I never thought I had anything in common with Joey, but we both changed after Dad left. We kind of disappeared. Not so much Debbie and Drew, maybe because they were younger. Joey loved Dad too much, I think. I'm trying to remember a poem Joey wrote about the sunlight coming through my eyeglasses refracted onto the wall. He wrote it on the slanted ceiling above my bed. Magic arrowheads of light, fragile ellipses fading fast. I read it every night for a long time. He did things like that. I had a Polaroid tacked to the wall of the four of us in the back of Dad's convertible Impala. One day I noticed written on the bottom, "Witnesses to the death of love." I cried for the first time since Dad left. The four of us were pretty close. We held together kind of like birds in a storm, but I was the one more on the outside. I tried hanging out with them, but drinking made me sick. Smoking pot just made me paranoid. I was the oldest, but still only 11 when Dad left. When Mom told me he wasn't coming back, she broke down. I was tall for a girl my age, taller than her, and she leaned into me while sobbing, "What am I going to do?" over and over. All I could do was stand there and try to hold her as she slumped into me. Joey and Debbie smoked. I hated it. They'd leave the ashtrays full of their stinking cigarette butts. I always complained, but they just ignored me, so I would hide the ashtrays under the couch. When Joey sent me that letter years ago, making amends, he called it, for stealing my babysitting money, I was stunned. And a check for $400. I told him I thought the painters had taken it, but had I? He asked me why I never said anything. "Didn't you tell Mom?" No, I never did. He said he stole it over time so he could buy pot. Didn't you notice your roll of cash was shrinking? Maybe I did notice, and maybe I didn't care. And maybe I made up the story of the painter stealing it so I wouldn't have to think of my brother stealing my money so he could get high. I really can't remember. I didn't want his money, but he insisted. It's strange, I know, but I felt bad, like I'd done something wrong. His birthday was coming up and he was moving to a new apartment. I took that money and bought him a good set of pots and pans from Macy's. Then there was that other letter, the one I'd rather not talk about, the one Joey wrote to Dad to get him to pay for my wedding. The 24-page letter. Dad brought it to me looking like he hadn't slept, looking all wounded. I said I wouldn't read it, but he left it in my apartment, and I did read it after he was gone. I was sick for a week. All the stuff I had avoided all those years, it was all there.